And how will they feel our presence if not to do the materials that we are giving them? Now, what are some of the standards that we need to consider in preparing our materials? What are those that we need to in transitions, in sound effects, mga many bullet points, tingnan natin po. Many animations in clip art, tingnan natin kasi baka nakakalula sa kanila. But this is what we should amplify. Okay? Focus on content over entertainment. Okay? And then, high quality videos, images, and cartoons are supposed to be used. Let's check also our spelling and grammar. Use of diagrams, charts, and graphs are necessary also. And let's be guided by this rule, the 5-7 words by 5-7 lines. So these are some of the things that we need to remember when preparing our flexible learning materials. Okay? So you use also some fonts that are friendly to our students. Hindi yung parang nalilito pa. Use font sizes depending on the presentation also, and then use of light text on dark background, proper blending of colors, importante po dito. Okay? So it's not about the number of slides kapag kayo ay gumagawa ng inyong mga interactive multimedia presentation, but it's about the content also of every slide that according to David Phillips. So this is just one, okay? So I know that these techniques are manageable. Am I correct? So maybe in the chat, you will tell me, yeah, you can manage it. Okay, our dear student teachers. So for me, of course, I will click yes, because to me it's manageable because I was able to do materials for this one. Okay, what about the print material? So that's for an interactive multimedia presentation that we will send to our students, okay? For offline learning because they will not be with us. What they will do is just to open our multimedia presentation. Now, the printed materials also. So, we're saying kanina na one of our responsibilities is to motivate our students, to give them prompts, to give them some guides, some tips, to provide feedback within the material, and what are the language, what are the different terms that we're going to use in order for us to make sure that our materials will directly talk to our students. What structure will we follow so that our students will be following our modules accordingly? How will we organize our materials? So what strategies must we follow? First is, in structuring our module, we should use visual icons, especially for the elementary level, okay? So for the elementary level, syempre, mas klaro, mas simple ang language that we're going to use, the more that they will have an understanding of how they're going to do the activities in our module. We need to organize our materials according to topics, headings, and activities. This is not only applicable to offline materials, but this is even applicable even to the organization of our learning habits for science. Okay? So, the most open distance learning courses according to our web is are subdivided into hindi katulad ng textbook na these are divided into chapters. So, sometimes corresponding to a week's work. So, each unit is like a chapter of a book. So, on the web, units usually correspond to one subdivision of the course website. Okay? So, usually, our units will start with the first stage, and that is for us to explain the lesson, what this is about. Okay? So, I know that, dear student teachers, you are able to receive already your modules from your teachers, and you're able to read this one, the learning outcomes. But because we are preparing you to become would-be teachers, kayo ay maggagawa ng inyong mga unit plans in your internship, you always need to remember that it's very important for you to articulate what the session is about. What are the learning competencies? And that's what I'll show you in a while, okay? We conduct the session, okay? Whether asynchronously or synchronously, if it's online. But of course, if it's offline, it's the module that will conduct the session for us. And what we're going to do as teachers is to follow them up through cell phones, group chats, and so on. Okay? And then the stage 3, that is when we are to evaluate already the performance of our students. We need to remember that we are never in a position to do the evaluation if teaching did not happen. Okay? The grades that we give to our students should be based on their scholastic performance. So which means, ang isang teacher walang karapatang magbigay ng grade kung hindi naman talaga gumawa ng isang module na matino na nagtuturo sana sa kanya. So as I said, the materials that we use in the physical classroom is very different with that of the material that we use when we teach using distance learning modalities. Because the materials that we develop for our students should carry out those tasks that I mentioned a while back, the teacher's task, that is to explain, provide examples, elucidate further, provide guidance, provide formative feedbacks, and so on. So, if we've been doing all of those in the face-to-face classroom, our dear student teachers, those responsibilities, you will carry it out through the modules that you're going to develop, through the materials that you're going to develop. So what are some strategies? Yun yung titignan natin. So it says here that whether it's print material or web-based material, all of these stages should happen. No evaluation should happen without the stage 1, without the conducting of the session, without the explanation. And that's the reason why we have instructional designs. Okay, for St. Louis University, we follow the 5E, although we have 7E in developing our learning modules. So these are the devices that we need to remember when preparing our materials, whether it's print or audiovisual materials. It should have self-instructional text, meaning when I will open my material, the material will tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do. So when you will prepare for your materials for your students, for your pupils, as student teachers, the material should have self-instructional text. The students should follow exactly what the self-instructional text is telling them in order for them to progress from one unit to the next unit. The layout should be prepared well, should be planned well, even the typography, illustrations are to be fully maximized, and even access devices should be provided. Okay? So anong ibig nating sabihin nito? Papakita ko po through some samples. Okay? So I will show you actual samples. Of course, I ask permission from our principal in the laboratory elementary school of St. Louis University. So, St. Louis University is actually, particularly our laboratory school was identified as our laboratory schools, elementary and high school, as the best private schools in the region. Okay? And I do believe that totoo naman yun dahil nga sa nakikita namin ang sipag at galing ng mga teachers, okay? Especially during this time of pandemic. So, nakikita po ba natin ang screen? Hello? Hello, sir? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, this is the Google Classroom of my son. Okay? He's in grade 5. And we're using a free LMS, Google Classroom. But at the same time, they're using also Aral Links, okay, from Tinig. So, dalawa po ang ginagamit nila na Google Classroom, Aral Links at saka Tidnix. In this particular material, you will see the different teachers, of course. Sila din ang kasama ng aming mga current student teachers. We have few student teachers right now dahil sila yung mga napag-iwanan ng old curriculum, and then kasama po nila sila sa paggawa ng mga materials. Okay? And then they're also helping our teachers right now in the laboratory school. So which means even our student teachers right now, they're expected, of course, to know how to facilitate all activities using this one. So what I will be presenting to you is a material na mag-model po ng tinatawag nating print material. So, what they do in our laboratory school is actually to engage their students in online learning, in an online class, but at the same time, yung material that they give to their students in the so-called correspondence space. In St. Louis University, we have two modalities po. We call it as online-based learning and correspondence-based learning. Yung correspondence-based learning, ang mga bata po, nakikiparticipate sila through offline modality. Kasi here in Baguio City, even if the families, they can afford naman to have a very good sana internet connection, but there are places talaga na medyo mahirap magkaroon ng internet connection every hour, every day. So, which means there are parents na talagang offline modality ang pinili nila. And then, yung material po na ginagamit nila sa offline, ibinibigay ibinibigay pa rin naman po dito sa kanilang online class. So, let's say for example, I'm going to show you for this particular class for the module that will exemplify po hindi dito. Nasabi ko sa inyo, ang sinusundan namin in St. Louis University na instructional design to design our deliver our program is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Ito pala na-download ko kanina yung kanilang module. So, this is the module, one of the modules, okay? So, we have a lot of modules, and this module is actually a module from October 12 to 16. So, our student teachers, talaga pong kinakarir po nila ito even in their unit plans. Okay, so when you are to prepare a module, you should be guided, of course, by the content standards and performance standards given by the Department of Education. So actually in our TTL2, and we were able to develop actually the syllabus for technology for teaching and learning 2 together with SEMEO. Ito po yung nandun na activities sa TTL2. So we have actually a book. I hope you were able to see the book that we were able to produce through Lorimar. We actually start with unit planning. In the unit planning, what we need to do is to be very familiar with the content standards and performance standards from DepEd. So what we usually do in the TTL2 classes is to let our students download the curriculum guide of DepEd to prepare for a unit plan so that you will know exactly the content standards and performance standards, because you cannot integrate technology in your lessons without complying and without aligning your use of technology to the content standards and performance standards. Okay, I made mention about not forgetting our vision mission as an institution. So some of us are private schools participating in this one. So for St. Louis University, we also have our formation standard as a missionary school. So aside from the content standard, we have the performance standard. And then this is followed by our most essential learning competencies provided by DepEd. So our dear student teachers, when you will prepare for your materials, even your assessment, so you have your TTL1, TTL2, assessment of learning 1 and 2, kailangan po na lagi nating natatandaan ang mga requirements na ito. Na kailangan familiar tayo sa content standards, performance standards of our discipline. So if you are a math major, then you should know this one. Okay? So this is a material na sinabi ko kanina na self-instructional siya. So yung bata, sasagutin niya ito kung offline. Class number, yung pangalan niya. So ito yung mga ipiprepare natin. Na ibang-iba po siya sa isang, tawag natin doon, sa isang textbook. Okay? So ipapakilala mo yung learning competencies. And then after that, you will tell them also about their culminating performance tasks. So I made mention a while back, the language that we're supposed to use when we are preparing for the materials should be talking directly to our pupils, to our students. So you will read here, ang sabi ni teacher, "Hello my dear Luisan." So alam nung bata na siya yung kinakausap ng material. So again, I said kanina, in the face-to-face classroom, what do? We tell our students about...
Ay, pahinayo lagamay pa, kay mo connect sa ako ang online pa. Dali lang.
So from the very start, for this specific unit, sinasabi na ni teacher through the material. The task of the teacher is carried out by the material. In the face-to-face class, binabanggit natin ito face-to-face sa bata. But in a distance learning modality na offline, yung bata hindi mo siya nakikita, ito siya ang nagbabasa. So, alam niya na kinakausap ko siya through the material that you're able to write. Okay? So, meron pang opening prayer muna. Okay? Bago yung "Hello, my dear Luisan." So, magpe-pray muna. And then the language, nakalagay dyan na, we are now on our last module for the quarter. Are you excited? In this module, you're going to learn about division of fractions. This lesson is very useful because by learning this, you can easily do daily tasks involving division of fractions. Okay. But before we begin, nandito na ako, with the lesson, let us check first the book exercises that you answered in module 3. Are you ready? Okay, so ito po, sasagutin na ng bata. Ito yung, actually bago ko na, in the introduction of Ma'am Almirete kanina, she mentioned that I finished postgraduate studies in the University of the Philippines Open University. Before all our teachers in the university, we have more than 1,000 teachers here in this university. nag-training po muna kami sa paggawa ng module. And I would like to acknowledge, of course, my degree in UP for, yun nga, kung paano ba gumawa ng distance learning module. And I'm really very happy that our teachers in the basic and in elementary who were part of that training, they were able to do all of those instructions that I gave to them during that training. Okay? Na dapat yung module, nagsasalita siya, kinakausap niya yung estudyante. Okay? So parang ito po, good job, my dear Luisian, for completing the book exercises assigned in Module 3. Continue being responsible and truthful in doing your work. Okay? So, you should talk through your module. Siyempre, importante din po na may mga nabanggit ko din kanina, we should abide by the guidelines of our university. So, you will see here that this property is from St. Louis University. And as I said, I'm sharing this material to you, but with the permission of our principal. Okay? So, ito yung engage. Okay? Let's review our previous lesson by doing the speed of drill and so on. Okay? So, ginagawa pa ito ng aming mga anak kasi yung anak ko, grade 5, teacher na itong teacher dito, student teacher din namin sa dati. Then, na-employ siya sa laboratory school. Until explore, okay? Let's do these tracks and so on. Okay? And then, we have some activities here. Makikita ninyo, very colorful siya. As compared to the module that I will show you, na module ko in my tertiary level class, iba po ang itsura niya. Okay? So, wrap-up activity, and so on. Okay? So, makikita ninyo dito sa last module na meron ding sasabihin dito na, dear parent or guardian, kindly evaluate honestly your child's performance because we need to be faithful also to the framework of yung parents and teachers partnership. Okay? So, ang mga magulang kailangan din tumutulong sila. The data that you will get here, like for example, if the parent will say, depended on me the whole time, ibig sabihin kailangan mo din ng, this is also a material which is very important for you to know if the parents are fully engaged or not, or if the student is with the parent or not. Okay? So ako bilang magulang, sinecheck ko kung my son was able to finish the activities entirely on his own or not. Okay? This message that I'm telling you now is for our current teachers now, but at the same time, this message is also a message for our student teachers who will be working with the teachers in the or in your laboratory school. And of course, we have here the closing prayer. Okay? And then meron na namang susunod yung culminating task activities. Okay? For you, dear students, if you will tell your students in the future for project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, it's also very important for us to know this grasp. So ito yung mga itinuturo natin na pinapractice ngayon ng ating mga student teachers at mga actual teachers na ngayon. Okay? So ito yung mga training na sinishare natin sa inyo in your classes at actual po na magagamit ninyo ito pag actual po na gumagawa na kayo ng mga material ninyo. So for example, for this particular performance tasks, applying inquiry-based and project-based learning, gamit yung grasp na framework, kailangan klaro sa bata at saka sa magulang na nasa bahay nila sa paggawa ng mga activities kung ano ang output ng anak nila, ano ang output mo. So the goal, okay, ito po, assistant baker daw siya, pastry chef. And then situation, recipes often need to be adjusted to meet, etc. And then the product, and then the standard, okay, the copy of the recipes, and so on. So, ito ay actual na module ng anak ko. So, ibig sabihin, ginawa ba namin ito? Yes, of course, kasi noong October pa ito. So, na-submit naman po namin itong output niya na ito. Okay, so, importante din na mayroon tayong kaalaman sa scoring guide. So, ibig sabihin, if you are a student right now, you should value all of the lessons that you're getting, that you're taking from your teachers now in assessment of learning and so on. Importante po yan. Okay? So, that is a presentation of a material, and I was able to mention the strategies so that your material will talk to your students. So again, of course, this was prepared by one of my students before, si Miss Charis, and is now a teacher in the laboratory high school, but of course, our students are also working with them. I'll go back to this classwork. Okay, so makikita ninyo ang isang estudyante in using an LMS, madali. So dapat kayong mga student teachers, madali sa atin na nakikita ninyo yung long is nila, kalahati lang. Okay, so dito makikita natin kung naisabit nila ang kanilang mga activities or not. Like for example, itong culminating performance tasks. Okay? So ito yung sinabit mismo ng aking anak na ginawa niya sa kanyang module na kinrated mismo ng kanyang teacher. Okay? So that's why you should know how to make use of Google Slides, Google Docs, lahat ng mga G Suite applications. Because dito sasagot ang mga bata. Okay? Tapos naisabit na niya. Okay? So, ipapakita ko naman yung
Basta
interface
giday.
ko mamaya. If I am a teacher, ano ba yung interface ko? So,
Ilisin na imong chinilas, ilisin na imong chinilas.
anak. So, malalaman mo din as a parent kung nag-submit ba yung anak mo. Siyempre, i-check mo. Ako lagi ang tinitingnan ko ito dahil nga so, titingnan ko kung nag-submit kasi makikita mo naman kung missing. Itong mga iba dito na check lang siya, walang score because these are formative activities. Because as we all know, in teaching, we have formative and summative. Diba? The formative activity should still be done by our children. Like for example, in this particular task, but it's not necessary that it will be graded. Okay? So, sabi ng anak ko rito ay motivate. Ano ba to? Medyo hindi pa tama yung grammar niya. Okay? Masyado makita ito yung mga isinagot niya. But these were not graded by the teacher. But you will see here that even the Google slide posted by the teacher, where the students will have to give an answer which is different doon sa printed material kanina. Dahil pag print material or flexible learning modality, saan ba siya sasagot kung hindi sa print material? Pero kapag online learning, sa amin online-based learning, saan sasagot yung bata? Dito sa mismong ginawa ng teacher na Google Slide. Okay? So dito mismo sumasagot yung estudyante from the instruction given by the teacher. Okay? So ito-close ito. So ito yung instruction doon sa mismong classwork kanina. Okay? So this is the classwork and then nakalagay dito na anong sabi? It's time to apply what you have learned in real situations by answering the word problems in your math book. So, maliban doon sa kanilang mga, kasi ang mga estudyante namin sa laboratory, meron rin silang textbook. So, which means the module is actually supported by a textbook also. Okay, so, this is just a sample, one of the many. Okay, so, sa dami po ng mga classes nila, makikita nyo dito, kung gaano kasipag ang mga teachers. So, halimbawa sa religion, makikita ninyo dito din ang announcement ng teacher. Good afternoon, boys and girls. See you at 1 p.m. in this link. Okay. So, ito yung kanyang instruction ng 126. Tapos, dito natin makikita yung lahat ng mga classworks. Okay. Dapat na na-organize natin ang ating work properly. And then, if I am the pupil, kasi ito ay student interface, makikita ko dito yung mga assigned activities. Okay, so, na-turn in na niya nung March 16 ang mga activities niya. So, kung ako ang magulang, makikita ko yan. Tapos, ito, hindi pa. Okay. Wala pa namang due date na ibinigay yung teacher. So, kung halimbawa,
Namihi ka sa
ako
pante?
ito, wala pa, hindi pa nagsubmit yung anak
Nawiwi ka sa pante?
kanyang classwork.
Ano nabasa mo na?
Yan ang halimbawa po ng isang material, the strategies on how we can be of
Utang
help
dire,
to
utang
our
dire.
students. They actually have their own thesis also. So ako na nanay, nababasa ko yung mga chat ng mga, nababasa ko actually kasi bata pa naman yung anak ko, yung group chat nila with the teacher. So this is one of the ways by which we can be of help to our students to come up with a print material in an interactive multimedia presentation. Okay. Now what I will show you now are examples of interactive multimedia presentation na sinabi ko na ito ay output ng mga students ko in my TEL class. And of course, they are using it also in the online classes in the basic ed. Okay, so let me share to you. Kailangan ko munang buksan pala yung material.
Huwag maingay, anak.
Problema kasi kapag tayo ay gumagamit ng So, kailangang nakabukas muna yung material para madali nating ma-share. Okay? So, I need to open first the material. So, kailangan, as a students, we should also know the different techniques on how we can,
Wala namang
hindi ko nakikita sa
ano ko.
Pero sa basket. Butang sa basket. O, diba? Balik na po siya. Sabi ko na nga ba eh. Diba? Kung gihipos na ako, mausad na po ko. Walayan mo yan.
Wala man water.
Ay, wala. Tara nga, tara nga, tara nga.
Kani.
Sige pa, maghanap pa ng marami.
wala talaga.
No.
Ano pa na
Asa naman? Hmm.
So, maya, ayaw na naman.
I hope, nakikita niyo sir ang aking material? Can you see the right triangle in real life, sir? That I just opened? Wala, sir. Can you see it now, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so this is one interactive multimedia presentation. The title of this is Right Triangle in Real Life, an application to right triangle trigonometry. So as a teacher, if you are going to give this to a student offline, okay, non-wired, ibig sabihin, kahit wala siyang internet connection, bubuksan lang niya ang material na ito. May maiintindihan ba siya aside from the print material? Okay, we need to remember na the print materials hindi sila animated, di ba? Pero kahit paano ang ating audiovisual materials animated sila. So, in this particular material, you will see here the icons that I said kanina na pwede ninyong gamitin so that the student will know if they will need to click next or previews. Okay, so for this particular material, meron siyang objective na galing sa most essential learning competencies. So, the student will know that this material will help them solve real-life situation problems using right triangle trigonometry. And then there are also specific examples here, instructions. So, ito yung sinasabi ko na self-instructional text as a strategy. So, before even proceeding to the next slide, you have your instructions na click on the icons in the navigation bar below to move from one section to another, solve what is asked in the problems on a separate sheet of paper, and then answer the quiz at the end of the slide. Okay? If you will recall your teachers in the past, karaniwan immediately title kaagad, di ba, ng kanilang PowerPoint, and then immediately lecture na kaagad, concepts na kaagad. But because this material will be read by your students on their own, kasi nga distance learning tayo, nakalagay na ganyan. So, i-click ng bata ito. So, immediately meron ng okay. Now, what is good with interactive multimedia presentation is that we can insert, sabi ko kanina, di ba, yung Excela na framework, insert, embed, link, mga ganyan. So, if I am a pupil and I'm a visual learner, mahirap sa aking intindihin ang worded problem. Mas maiintindihan ko kung meron siyang presentation. Ngayon, itong nakikita ninyo na ito ay karaniwan sa isang math teacher pag face-to-face. Ginuguhit niya yan, di ba? Sa classroom, sa board. Eh ngayon, wala nga tayo sa face-to-face. So ikaw, kakaroon mo na ito ay gawin mo, gamitin mo using a PowerPoint presentation and make it interactive. Okay? And then, actually, itong material ko na ito, material ito noon pang bago pa ang pandemya, matagal na itong material na ito. Because, course, there are times also when we need to give further instructions to our students. So even in a face-to-face, pwede pa rin gamitin ito. Can we share this even to our students online? Yes, of course. Okay. So meron ng solving of problems and so on. Ito na, sobrahan lang yung animation niya. Okay? Pero kung minsan kasi pag mga bata, gusto rin nila ang ganito. Okay, so ano ang kinakarera dito paggamit ng animation? So you just go to the animation part of PowerPoint. Okay, now I was able to observe this sa mga student teachers namin. Magagaling sila pagdating sa paggamit ng computer. Okay, you have all the technological skills. Pero yung tipak kulang. Like for example, yung magamit ninyo, yung galing ninyo sa pag-insert, but to clarify, for example, a concept, or to elucidate further a concept, yun yung kailangan nating paggamitan, okay, ng ating mga kaalaman. So we hope that we're going to maximize all our talents, okay, in coming up with an interactive multimedia presentation like this one. This was the material that I showed actually to my students, and then in their TTL1 class, yun yung ipapakita kong output mamaya. Okay. So, evaluation na ang susunod. So, nagturo ka and then magkakaroon na ng quiz. Okay? Make your own word problem and write triangle trigonometry, solve your problem and perform, etc. So, tingnan ninyo, 2008 pa itong material na ito because during that time when we had our training in Intelligence Philippines and Working Philippines, nakalagay kasi doon yung training on accommodation for differentiated instruction. Because still there are students who cannot, in inclusive education, cannot really proceed to universities na face-to-face. Okay? So, yun yung essence ng tinatawag natin na accommodation. So, because of that material that I showed to my students, so one of my students in my class, ang kanyang ginawa naman ay itong material na ito, nawawala ako sa kailangan ko munang isara ang aking maraming PowerPoint. Para maipakita ko yan sa sample na okay, it worked. Okay, so this is one of the samples na ginawa ng estudyante ko, isa sa mga estudyante ko sa TTL1 last sem lang. Okay? So, based on the example that I showed, ito naman yung kanyang nagawa. So, may learning objectives, tapos may duration din, and my instructions. So, use yung mga case na ito to navigate the contents, etc. So, papakita ko lang ha. Click here to start. So, may games, tulad na sabi natin. Okay, recall the 6 trigonometric equations, etc. Papakita ko lang. Bibilisan ko kasi mas marami akong sample na ipapakita for LMS. Then, ito yung situation. So, makikita ninyo, hindi siya pure text. So, you went hiking for a day. Yun yung sabi ng estudyante. You decided to eat some snacks because you were hungry from climbing those steep slopes. Unfortunately, you realized that you forgot to bring all your snacks. So, you decided to rush back to your campsite. You plan to shoot a zip line from your location straight to your campsite so you can get there ASAP. Okay? So you are here. Illustrating your plan, you have, okay, ito. So, okay, proceed ko lang click na lang ako para lang makita ninyo kung ano yung tinatawag nating interactive, meaning yung bata kahit paano ma-appreciate niya, pinaghirapan mo, alam niya, personal nilagay mo papangalan mo na developer. So this was developed by one of our learners in my class. Okay? So ang goal mo is to find out the length of the rope that you use for your zip line. And so on. Magpapakita din kasi ako sa situation din, and then from your point of view, the angle made by the top of the tree in distance from you is okay. So these are some strategies. If we're talking about strategies to make our presentation very entertaining and at the same time encouraging for our students to focus and learn from it. Okay?
Good job. Good job.
There was a study that we conducted because
What
of
color
our
is
retail
that?
training.
Uy,
Kung,
nagdaghan na kaayo na. Ay,
ano ba
kaduot.
yung
Uy, mangurot na.
ikinatutuwa?
Kunti lang. Ibalik, ibalik. Daghan na
Pasensya
kaayo.
na, hindi ko na-check ito noon sa kanila.
Kunti lang, anak. Ayaw,
Na-check ko
wala.
lang after
Mahirap
yung
na.
understand and visualize. Siyempre, hindi ito measurable as you all know from those taxonomy. Okay? Tapos double barrel pa siya, understand and visualize. So dapat you do not use understand to be able to, ano ba yun? No value yung mga ganyan kasi they are not measurable. Okay? And then of course the references, these are also are very important. Okay? I'll show you an example naman sa na Filipino naman. Okay? Filipino interactive multimedia presentation. Marami akong samples dito pero kukulangin tayo ng oras. Pag-demo, syempre, alam kong pag nakakita na kayo ng example, alam na ninyong gawin, di ba, dear student teachers? Because we learn from examples. Okay, so ito naman, may recording naman yung estudyante ko dito.
Isa na. Sounds. Para ulan na.
Kunti lang ha.
Isa na. Sounds.
Ah, mga leaves yun sa trees.
Para unya mo ulan. Tonight na mo ulan.
Binibilisan ko lang yung pagpindot, okay? So may quizzes din siya. Okay? So makikita ninyo may naka-embed siya na video. Okay, so ito yung pangalawang paksa niya. Bumalik tayo dahil doon sa button. Okay. So makikita ninyo marami din siyang button, di ba? So dahil na iturungan natin kung paano. Mahaba-haba
Ulan,
ito.
lo? Ulan. Ulan. Ha? Ha? No?
Okay. So marami pa. But I just like to show you na ito ay combination ng yung sinasabi ko kanina na sasabihin mo kung ano ang kanilang learning objective, that is stage 1, magtuturo ka, syempre may mga motivation ka pa, may mga quizzes ka pa in between, may mga buttons ka, so ito yung mga, inorganize mo siya talaga, so it's just
Ang
one
ganda.
lesson, na kung ako yung offline
Iba
learner,
naman.
susundan ko
Paid.
lang po siya, okay? So, ito yung halimbawa ng material na nabanggit ko kanina, okay? So, makikita natin dito, syempre, yung mga iba't ibang activities, marami pa, but of course, kukulangin tayo ng oras, okay? What about video recording? I'm going to show you one of the recordings also developed by one of our teachers in our class,
Mama.
in our university, which was a sample given to our teachers. And I also
Dito,
provided
dito.
this as
Ma'am.
an example to
Here,
our
ma'am,
student
or
teachers
dili.
for
Ma'am.
this PTL2. Okay? So yung mga estudyante ko sa PTL1, ang kanilang mga ginawa interactive multimedia presentation. But for my students in the PTL2, particularly ELT, ang gagawin po nila ay video recording naman. Okay? In the video recording, dapat pa rin mayroon tayong susundang instructional design. Ibig sabihin, kung i-play ng bata sa bahay na offline lang pero may computer siya, madali niyang masundan. I was able to show this one actually sa ating mga kasama sa in one of the public activities. But I do believe some of you were not able to see this one because maybe you're not able to attend the national convention. But I was able to show this one during the national convention. And I find this material as a very good material for us to understand why it's very important that when we develop our materials, that it should be pleasing. So this is a material from one of our colleagues in the university. Her name is Anna, one of the writers of the Purposive Communication book ng Lorimar na kasama namin dito sa SM. Okay, so I click this one and you will see na ito ay kompleto siya mula sa engage, explore, explain hanggang evaluate. So, na-design yun siya for a very short video only na may instructional design. Extemporaneous informative speech. Martin Luther King, Winston Churchill, and Nelson Mandela. Do these names ring a bell? They are considered some of the great public speakers in the world. Through their speeches, many were influenced. There are great public speakers, and there are those who fear speaking. Glossophobia is the name for the fear of public speaking, but it's something that one can overcome. Overcome that fear, first is preparation. Preparation can help reduce nervousness by familiarizing yourself with the following. A is your topic. Research about your topic. There are many ways to know about your topic. The internet is a good source of information. Also, books provide good insight. B is to make an outline. Your outline is your roadmap. Do certain revisions and tie loose ends together. This is where you also get to select the appropriate mode of delivery. Next is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice in front of the mirror. This is where you get to see your facial expression and your gestures and be the better judge. Or you may practice in front of your friends and family. I'm pretty sure they can give you encouraging feedback that will enhance your public speaking performance. The final P is performance. Relax. Prior to uttering your first words on stage, take deep breaths. This will help ease muscle tension. And no matter how serious your topic is, you have to greet your audience with a smile. Not that kind of smile, this smile. And also remember to always face your audience, but never ever glue your eyes on a specific person. Scatter your glances and make sure you are heard by everyone in the audience. Also, it is important to be very mindful of your body language. Avoid annoying gestures such as poking of nose, crossing your arms, and for ladies, flipping your hair. Remember to also claim attention by varying your pitch, pace, and volume. By doing these, your audience's attention will surely be maintained.
Next is to be mindful of your time. Remember that another way of valuing your audience is respecting their time. Always wrap up your thought on time. And finally, be your best self and always have fun. Let's have a recap. So the first P of public speaking is preparation. The second P is practice. And the third P is performance. With much creativity, intelligent planning, and consistent practice, anyone can absolutely be a great public speaker. So check your understanding of the three P's. Answer the exercises on page 38. For your task, prepare to deliver a 2-minute informative extemporaneous speech on local culture and language. The rubric for this requirement is also found on page 39 of your module.
What ay nako?
Document your speech through video recording and submit via Google Classroom on or before May 30, 2020. If you have questions or concerns regarding the topic and the requirement, you are free to post them on our Google discussion board. Which of the three P's did you find most helpful? I hope that the lesson today will help you jumpstart your public speaking interest and at the same time ace that public speaking task. Let us close with prayer in front of your friends and family.
Okay? Is that doable? I do believe so. Kanina po, yung opening remarks ni Dr. Jocelyn, di ba, recording nun? So, pwede po. Ang gagawin lang natin, dear students, ay kailangan alam natin gumamit ng mga technology. So, actually, ang ginamit ni Ma'am Annalyn dito ay InShot, okay? And we have a lot of movie makers. So, what do we need to prepare? We need to prepare our storyboard. So, sabi ko nga, di ba, yung first, ano yung unang sasabihin mo? So, pwedeng mag-record ka. So, wag nating isipin hindi pwede kasi kanina nga nakita nyo lahat ng mga speakers natin nag-recording sila. Makikita nyo lang na after siguro ilang minuto na pagsasalita, siningitan ni Miss Annalyn ng text, di ba? Sa movie makers, sisingitan natin ng text yan. So, isa sa mga madali na gamitin ay InShot application. Okay? So, pwede nyo gamitin yan sa cellphone o kayo sa MacBook ninyo. Importante, alam niyo kung ano yung isisingit niyo. Nakita niyo kanina yung rubric, di ba? So, pinicturean niya yung rubric, image yun, and then in-insert siya. So, yung Excela na framework na sinabi ni Dr. Ayaw na sinare ko kanina, yun yung pwede natin gamitin. Okay? So, yun yung pwede natin gawin to strategize. So, which means, even if they will not see you face to face, still nakikita nila ang inyong mukha na nagsasalita. Okay? So, syempre, kung kayang-kaya ng nila Dr. Alderete na mag-recording, kaya nyo rin mag-recording. Yun nga lang, yung kanina recording na diretso yun na sila nagsasalita. But in the case of preparing your material, you need to insert images. You need to insert yung rubric kanina na nakita ninyo. And then, you need to insert some text, subtitling.
Maybe you away her.
Of course, you should have learned that, or you still need to learn that, or explore that, because we have subjects like TTL1 and TTL2. Okay? So that's just one of the samples that I have. So I'll go back to my presentation for my PowerPoint presentation. What I will be introducing to you already, although I was able to start, are different LMS also that we can actually use, okay, for online learning. So if we have materials for very short na lang ito kasi kulang na tayo ng oras. Pasensya na dahil medyo meron yung time kanina na wala ako. For online learning, what are some tools that we can use? Okay, so we have web learning activities also. So aside
Why
from
she
the
go
tools, we
there?
actually have
Siya
what we
going
call
to the
Wella from
city to
Wordlinks
buy a
Philippines.
food
We have
for
a lot of
Bubisab,
samples of this from
Sundara,
the
Kuya
internet,
Neil,
how you're going
and
to do online
everything
treasure
there.
hunt. It
Sama
will
about
actually
me?
give you a guide on how the
layo man
students
siguro,
will
ang mobile lang sa imo, sa
hunt a lot
inday
of
lang sa
treasures
mama
from
and
the
tita and
internet.
tito
But in
and
the
lolo.
framework of
But
online
Sa
treasure hunt,
tito?
which you can
But when you go to the
easily
Negros, Lolo Agi will buy a food and
download
toy
yung
for
mga
you because
examples from
he loves you
from
too.
Google.
How about
But for now, just
yung
quiet
technique
because
to
I'm
make
listening
sure
my
that our
teacher.
students will learn
That teacher
how
will
to
see
filter
you.
information when they're going to search for a lot of
Sabi niya,
information
oh,
from the
Aya
net
is talking,
using
huh?
online treasure
Soon.
hunt. Can
Aya
you
is
see my
pretty,
full
ha?
screen,
Thank you,
sir?
teacher.
Okay lang po ba?
Soon, pag mag-school na ikaw, ganyan na rin ikaw, ha? Ganyan yung teacher mo dito, ikaw. Puhon, pag mag-school ka na, ha? Di-enroll pa man ka ni mama na doon sa school ni Ate Rina na lang ikaw.
Huh?
Doon na ka sa school ni Ate
No,
Rina.
Ate Hana school.
Gusto mo ba kay Ate
Nakikita na ba,
Hana?
sir?
Because I love Ate Hana.
Who else?
Okay.
Ate Kay
So
Chus,
another is
there.
WebQuest, which is more
Okay.
challenging.
I will
The WebQuest is
I
actually
will
following
make an
also the
enrollment
class
first,
format,
ha?
yung
Kasi
my
sa
goal,
next month
my
pang
role,
inyong
sino ang audience,
klase.
anong
Then
situation,
you will do this
anong
also.
performance task.
Online, then
Okay,
you
so
listen to your
you
teacher.
can search also
No
for the framework
noise.
of WebQuest
Because your teacher is
because it will
talking.
tell you as
When
to
she
how
said,
our students
Ayana,
will be
answer
able
me,
to
that's the
maximize
time
resources
that you
from
answer
the
the teacher
internet,
and you
okay?
speak.
And of course, ito yung
Okay?
ginagawa natin
When the teacher
ngayon,
asking you,
webinar,
what is your name?
web conferencing.
Nawala?
So which means
Ayun,
you can also conduct with your
Hindi na kami
students
doon.
web conferencing
Hindi na lang.
framework or format. Like for example, in FEU, I was just invited by some students to participate in their web conferencing in their classes. So pwedeng ganun din ang gawin natin with our students, especially if we will be serving as student teachers in senior high school or junior high. So marunong na ang mga bata ngayon na mag-facilitate ng virtual conference. So pwedeng sa project-based learning, magpa-web conference, sila ay mag-invite ng speaker, yung mga ganun, sila ang mag-organize. So that can be a performance task, a culminating performance task, and then collaborative siya. That's what they do actually in high school ngayon, na yung performance task ng isang bata isa siya, but it's actually a task that will also let them demonstrate the competencies required in English, required in mathematics, required in PE, and so on. So which means, during this time of pandemic, that's one best strategy, to collaborate with other teachers so that we will just have one big task like a web conference, and then the students will have to act as an MC, as a developer for some infographics, di ba, application ng kanilang mga lessons in computers, para hindi yung 8 subject or 12 na subjects, ang dami-dami nilang performance task, mahihilo po talaga sila. Okay, so yan ang isa sa ginagawa actually ngayon ng aming laboratory school. Ang tawag doon ay collaborative, culminating, performance tasks. One big tasks. And isa sa mga pinagawa nila actually sa mga estudyante nila ay web conferencing. Okay? And then, of course, yung paggamit natin ng maraming mga LMS. So, marami tayong mga free LMS, pero may mga binabayaran din ng mga LMS. Like for example, for Moodle, we made use of this in UP for some of our courses. So I was once a student. So ito yung active student portal. Para lang sa kaalaman ninyo, what if in the licensure examination for teachers ay tatanungin ito, di ba? So ano yung mga common na LMS na ginagamit? Ano yung mga features and characteristics ng mga ito? Iba-iba po ang features and characteristics. Siyempre yung mga binabayaran ay talagang nagkakaroon tayo ng ibang feature as compared sa mga free na mga LMS. Okay? So, importante na alam din natin yan. So, for Microsoft Teams, we can actually, with just having a Gmail account, an email account, you can actually maximize Microsoft Teams, pero limited po yung feature na bibigay nito sa atin. But at least you can already explore as early as today, for as long as you have your Gmail account. Because you know very well the words na shareware, di ba? Freeware and software. So yung shareware, meron tayong opportunity to explore at least in 30 days, so that when you will be deployed in a school na ang gamit nila ay Microsoft Teams, hindi ninyo alam ang gagawin ninyo pag student teacher kayo. So as early as today, dapat ini-educate na rin ninyo ang inyong mga sarili sa mga iba't ibang LMS na ito. Okay? So this is my LMS using Microsoft Teams, okay? I was actually compelled to explore Microsoft Teams because we need to train our student teachers to be deployed in DepEd. Dahil according to DepEd, when we had an orientation with them, ang gamit nila, ang kanilang license ay Microsoft Teams. Okay? Microsoft 365. So, ibig sabihin, kung sa laboratory school namin ang gamit ay Google Classroom at saka Aral Links, kailangan ding marunong ang aming mga estudyante for Microsoft Teams. That's why, for my TTL1 class and TTL2 class, I am using yung Aral Links, yung Google Classroom, at saka Microsoft Teams. Because, again, in teacher education institutions, we need to prepare our students to what is actually happening in the industry, in the workplace. So, para pag sa ganon, pag mag-practicum na next year ang mga estudyante, alam na nilang gamitin ang Microsoft Teams. Okay? That's why I have my classes for Microsoft Teams. And then, of course, this is my class with Microsoft Teams. Screenshot ko lang ito. Kung may time sana tayo mamaya, pwedeng buksan ko yung actual class ko. So, this is my actual class na screenshot yan. And then, Google Classroom. So, I showed you an example of a Google Classroom from our teachers in our laboratory school. But in my case, of course, I have my Google Classroom. Ito yung kanyang dashboard, screenshot ng dashboard ko ito. So, I'm actually using it for management purposes and for my classes. So, for example, makikita ninyo dito sa screen, for our research class, so, ang promoter namin, ito si Dr. Ignacio, ang aming graduate school program coordinator. Nagsasubmit kami ng mga requirements namin sa kanila as our coordinator. And even in my undergraduate research class, ito yung mga estudyante ko. And in my class, TTL1, and even for our training, itong nakikita ninyo dito na unang shell ay School of Natural Sciences kasi I've been training them also to integrate technology and then they've been submitting their outputs through this one, okay? And then mga trainings namin na workshop. So ibig sabihin, if you are a teacher, you can make use of this for the purposes of guidance and counseling, meeting, classroom, and so on. So, yan ang gamit ng LMS. At basta meron kang Gmail account, you can always have your LMS. Free po siya. Okay? So, this is the dashboard ng kapag ka nasa loob ka na. So, nakita naman ninyo kanina, di ba yung itsura kapag ka yung sa elementary, maraming icons. But, yung aking dashboard, simple lang, walang masyadong maraming icon kasi mga third year students ang estudyante ko ito. Okay? And then, of course, Edmodo, this is very common, this is very familiar, and meron din siyang free version. Explore din ninyo dahil may mga eskwelahan, kapag ka mag-apply kayo sa trabaho, ang gamit po nila ay Edmodo. Okay, so hindi, what is very good is if you are very good already in using one LMS, you can just transfer your skill and knowledge from one LMS to another LMS. Walang nagbigay sa akin ng tutorial kung paano gamitin ang Edmodo. Dahil alam ko na gumamit ng Schoology. Okay? So, Schoology ang dati, ito sa Edmodo ko pala ito. Matagal na ito, actually 2008 pa ito na material ko. This is also Schoology. At ito ang halos ginagamit ko even prior to the pandemic. That's why I have a lot of classes in Schoology. Okay? 2015 pa ang mga ibang classes ko dito. So, bago pa na-introduce ang Google Classroom, bago pa na-introduce ang Canvas, etc., I already have my classes in the graduate school and in the undergrad for Schoology, which is also free. Okay? So, you can just sign up for this one for practices purposes. So, this is one of the classes that I have in Schoology. And of course, I was invited as a visiting professor in one of the universities in Region 2. Ito ang aming gamit, Neo LMS, sa aming sister school. At ito po ang aking dashboard. Okay? So, kasama ko po ang ating regional director dito na sa Region 2 during that time. Ito yung kanyang itsura kapag kagamit natin ay Neo LMS. Hindi ito free, but still you should explore how these are used, especially if you will be asked to have your internship in one of the schools na ang gamit nila ay Neo LMS. Okay, so ito yung loob ng Neo LMS, so which means you can have asynchronous interaction. Okay, so let's say for example, meron akong interaction with them asynchronously. Ibig sabihin, pwede nakausapin natin ang ating mga estudyante in terms of time na magkakaiba. Okay, that's the essence of distance learning. In one of the classes that I have with one of the schools where I was also invited as a visiting professor ay Canvas. Okay, so ang Canvas maganda rin siya, binabayaran siya, kaya mas maganda rin ang mga feature nito. So, you need to explore all of this and I was not able to attend fully the orientation given by the university, but what is good was that there is a tutorial. So, naaral ko din naman ang tutorial. So, I'm just going to open for very few minutes lang yung actual samples, but I would just like to remind everyone that we have a lot of, especially if you have your Microsoft Office, i-explore natin lahat ito, mga ito, Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Sway, and many others, Microsoft Forms, dahil ang galing po ng mga features na pwedeng maibigay nito. And even for Google Suite, dapat marunong na tayong gumamit ng Google Drive, di ba, yung mga ganyan, and then yung mga emails natin, and so on. Okay, so, for checking purposes, I'd just like to emphasize that it's very important for us to improve our performances. So, how do we do it in distance learning for now? Okay, pagkaroon tayo ng mga reminders. Why we have all of these technologies, let's look at their strength, the weaknesses. Baka masyadong mahal, may free, yung mga ganyan. So, kung pwede naman sa mga free, why not? Huwag natin ipilit yung kailangan mag-subscribe natin. And we have a lot of opportunities. In SWOT analysis, as we all know, for opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities of training na nanggagaling sa outside na pwede natin i-consider, and of course, some threats. Okay, so consider natin ang mga ito in order for us to make sure that our strategies will work. And this is part of checking. Okay? And then, of course, gusto kong emphasize ang tinatawag natin impact. For the purposes of ensuring that we're going to get also the inputs from our students in our university, using Google Forms, we were able to conduct student survey, faculty survey, how are you now? Natuturo ba ng tama ang mga teachers? Kumusta sila? May mga problema ba? Gusto nating malaman for the purposes of ensuring that we're going to improve our activities in the flexible learning. So, may mga actual survey materials po kami na in-administer namin. Kaya halos nag-improve po ang delivery. If itapas as admin, talagang nung una ang daming complaints na ipapile in the office. But I'm glad for now because kaunti na lang ang mga dumarating ng mga complaints because natutunan na rin ng mga teachers kung paano makagaling ng mga challenges. Even the students, they were able to learn how to cope with the challenges of this attempt. Okay? And it's very important for us to always conduct meetings, of course, for our heads here and our teachers. These are the things that we need to consider in order for us to check if what we're doing really are appropriate, okay, our response. Okay, so in terms of the monitoring purposes, of course, it's very important for us to make some adjustments in the processes that we're doing, to do some revisions. That actually is the act in the PDCA cycle. Act on what we need to do. We need to look into our monitoring system. So, kailangan i-consider natin ang mga ito, even our manual of operating procedures and guidelines. And then, it's also very important for us to at least obey what our quality assurance may be telling us relevant to the development of our modules. In our case po, we have our quality assurance people na chine-check po nila talaga based on our manual of operating procedures and guidelines in distance learning po. Tama po ba ang mga ginawa ng aming mga teachers na modules? So, that's why we have our St. Louis University Manual on Distance Learning Education. And in the manual, laman po niya lahat yung ano dapat ang itsura ng module, ano dapat ang itsura ng cover page niya, ano dapat ang laman niya, ano dapat yung mga laman ng audio-visual materials namin. So, required po yung mga yan, nakalagay po lahat sa aming guidelines. Okay, so, I'll just open some samples. These are my references. Okay, shortly lang siguro yung pag-open ko lang ng sample. Pasensya na po. You can of course contact me through PAFBE, but I just show you, siguro 2 minutes lang po, pasensya na, para makita ng ating mga estudyante yung actual samples of our LMS. So I'll just share again my screen and show you an example. So ito yung actual po na Schoology classes po. Makikita po ninyo dito yung ating mga iba't ibang graduate school, and so on. So if you're going to open this one, let us be guided also by ensuring that we organize our activities properly. Because this was used uh, uh, not with the modules before, kaya ganyan yung itsura niya na may mga forum, discussion as a support to my students. But because of pandemic, na require na tayo na dapat meron na tayong mga sarili nating mga modules, that's why in one of the courses I was able to organize it according to modules. Ito po yung aking klase sa yung mga paggamit po natin ng tinatawag nating Microsoft Teams. So you will be able to see here the different files of students. So you can just click, of course, Microsoft Teams here, and then you will be able to see, of course, the materials submitted by your students. Okay? So, kailangan ko pang mag-enter. Kukulangin na tayo ng oras. Tingnan ko lang siguro yung dashboard po sa dito. Okay, so I'll just click this one, and then you will see the language. So this is actually graduate school. Okay, so you will see that even if it's graduate school, you still need to communicate to your students properly. Okay, so I'm truly pleased and excited to learn with you in this course. So dapat kinakausap mo ang mga estudyante. So kahit grad school yan, dapat mabuti yung pakikipag-usap mo. And then you should organize your modules accordingly also. So in this particular material, naka-organize po siya. So from the interface of the students, makikita nila kung paano po yung pagkakaayos ng material. So makikita ninyo dito na meron munang orientation with the course guide, course overview, etc. There is an opportunity for you to change ideas for the forum. So exploring, tapos merong evaluation, okay? Then may mga rubric din. So ibig sabihin, kahit grad school yan, kailangan organisado. So from the student's interface, student view, this is what is good with Canvas kasi makikita mo kung ano ang nakikita ng estudyante, which is not present in some other LMS. So makikita mo ito yung nakikita niya. Iba naman yung nakikita mo. So, yun yung galing ng mga blessings. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we still need to learn, and I hope that we will have this attitude to really learn from all other people, from what they do in their respective institutions. So, marami pong salamat sa inyong pakikinig. So, back to you, sir, for the next activities, for the question and answer forum. Maraming salamat po.
Right, thank you, Doc, for sharing your especially moving on to open forum. We're now going to be answering the questions submitted during today's presentation. So as a reminder, you can still submit questions through the questions page for the control panel. Or if you'd rather ask in person, you can also use the raise. You can also use the raise hand icon to indicate that you have a question or a comment. Once you raise your hand, someone will unmute the line so that you can ask your questions during the open forum. Right, so today as the open forum, we will call in Dr. Laura Sesmon, third member of the Ma'am.
I can open my video. Okay. Good morning. Are you still okay, my dear students? If you have any questions to ask or clarifications of doubt, please write your question on the question box. There is an ICT. Okay, there's a team to deal with your question. Take it over, Marvin.
Yes, Doc. Okay, so I will read some questions here in our chat box. So our first question address our resource.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning from Davao Oriental State University, fourth year student. We know that we're still facing the pandemic. My question is, how about those students who are living in the remote area? They lack gadgets or even internet. Since we applied implementation technology of this new normal. Okay, so the question here probably is, how about the students who lack the technology or even the internet connectivity for?
Okay, that's a very good question because that's really real. It's really happening. Here in the north, we have students, of course, who are in the same situation that was mentioned. That's the reason why we have the print material. Okay? Yung print material na pinakita
Aya, do not
sample kanina, na
speak loud. Kaya nag-record ko.
what we did in the university, because we have students, especially during the lockdown, hindi talaga makalabas yung mga estudyante in one of the provinces here in the north, in the mountain province, even in Abra, yung mga ganyan. Okay. So, we actually partnered with the Philippine Army na sila yung maghahati dahil sa lockdown, hindi sila makapunta sa mga lugar na may magandang internet connection at isinend nga namin ang mga materials na print. Kaso ang problema, yung print material na yan, hindi nila halos maintindihan without support. What is good is there were only very few of them during that time. So, importante talaga yung support din. Kahit papano, meron namang contact sa cellphone. Kaya nga dapat, very, how do you call this one, very encouraging, very motivating. In the way we're going to lay out our materials, there should be spaces for them to write their thoughts, their ideas. Hanggat maaari, yung pagbasa nila ng material, nagsasalita talaga yung material sa kanila. Okay? So that's actually is the limitation. While pwede rin namang wala silang internet connection, pwede rin namang meron silang computer application nila, di ba? Wala lang internet connection. That's when possible po yung interactive multimedia presentation na sinabi ko kanina, naka-PowerPoint. So in the PowerPoint, nandun lahat naka-embed yung mga videos, may mga activities, quizzes, motivation, activities na nakalagay sa mga slides. Okay? So that's the problem. And then, isa sa mga pwede natin gawin is to be in partnership with radio stations also. Pero syempre, ang mga ideal ito. So, ang pinaka-madali talaga ay yung print material na maganda yung pagkaka-expound, organize siya, nasulat ng mabuti, at parang kung ako yung nagbabasa, parang nagsasalita si teacher. Okay? Yun talaga kung pure print. At yun din yung tinitingnan natin na halimbawa baka hindi pwedeng i-offer ngayon dahil kung swimming yan, ay paano mo naman mame-measure yung galing niya sa paglangoy, di ba? So, that's why your schools, what they did was actually to change the offering of the different courses. Like, it's not possible to be offered right now because it will really require online interaction or actual demonstration. So, some schools move yung subject na dapat nasa first sem, inilagay na nila sa ibang level. Ginawa na nilang sa third year level na lang siya yung offer. Hoping and praying na magkakaroon tayo ng face-to-face interaction with the teacher. So, that's why yun yung essence ng flexibility. Flexibility in terms of the scheduling of the courses.
Yang, huwag masyado maingay, Pi.
Yun na yun ang dapat susundan, di ba? Kaya nga, in our university, the School of Nursing, for example, requested na yung isang gen ed course nila, ipapalit nila yung major. So, noong short term, imbes na ang i-offer nila ay major na kailangan ng face-to-face talaga, pinalitan nila ng gen ed course. Yung mga yung adjustment na yan ang pwedeng gawin. Okay? So, and then we can partner with other people. Ang ginagawa ng DepEd, kasi pwede namang yung mga teachers, they will go for tutorial in the different bahay-bahay. Okay? Pwedeng ganun ang gawin talaga kasi kailangan ang bata maintindihan niya talaga with your presence. So, pwede po yun. Na ang mga teachers mismo, sila ang pupunta following, of course, health protocols. Here in Baguio City, meron kaming tinatawag na Project Kalayaan. Yung Project Kalayaan, nakipag-partner po ang DepEd sa mga student teachers namin sa lahat ng TPIs dito sa Baguio at saka yung mga graduate na wala pang trabaho ngayon. Ano ang Project Kalayaan dito? May mga bata kasi wala talaga silang internet connection. So ang nangyari, yung mga student teachers na malapit ang bahay nila sa tahanan ng bata, pwedeng magkaroon sila ng tutorial, okay? Tapos ang ginawa ng DepEd ay bibilangin nila yung oras ng pag-tutor ng mga student teachers namin. Okay? Tapos yung oras na ginugol ng mga student teachers namin, ika-countdown nila yon in the future pag nag-apply ang aming mga student teachers sa DepEd in the future as part of their experience. Kasi di ba ang DepEd nagka-count ng experience. So yun yung mga pwedeng remedy partnership. Kaya pag may project ang ating mga teacher education institutions, mag-participate kayo. Kasi kami, ang mga third years namin at ang mga practicumers namin, ganun ang ginagawa nila. Yung kapitbahay nila na nag-aaral sa DepEd na walang internet connection, tinutulungan nila sila. Kasi pwede naman yun for as long as we're going to follow protocols. Okay? So yun lang ang pwede kong maisagot.
Right, so we have next question one. Just join via Zoom. Actually, these are very interesting questions. First question is, what are the things we need to do for those students whose attention are easily diverted since they can access the application because the class is going on?
Okay. Alam niyo kahit sa grad school nangyari yan. Even with my third year students, I just had my class the other day. And then, sabi ko, nagpapareset ako pero yung estudyante mukhang nawawala yata. So what I did was actually to let them open yung videos nila for a while. And then sabi ko, kaya nga dapat kapag ka nag-lecture kayo virtually, kailangan pa rin may response. Kailangan pa rin kinakausap ninyo sila, magpapareset pa rin kayo. That is online. Okay? Kapag online, pwede po yan, masisend nyo ang kanilang mga attendance. Ngayon, kung mahina ang internet nila, pwede naman sa chat pa din. So actually, in my case, we have our group chat, and then we make use of the chat of our Google Meet or Zoom for me to know if they are really there. And then, syempre, panandalian. Kasi kung minsan, kapag i-open nila kasi ang video nila, talagang bumababa yung bandwidth nila. So, ang mangyayari ay nawawala sila. But at least these are the things that you can actually do. Or if not in your group chat, you will have to post some questions there. So you were not able to show your face kanina, di ba yung mga ganon? So you will have to ask them what happened so that you will know exactly if they're listening. At lagi tayo magkaroon ng formative assessment just to know if they are there or not. Mahirap din kasi nag-a-assume din tayo kung minsan na ang mga estudyante natin ay talaga lang na hindi nakikinig. Kasi kung minsan, yun nga, nawawala. Parang kanina, bigla akong nawala. So this will make us more, our experiences as teachers na nawawala tayo, sometimes we will consider these experiences as a proof and as an evidence na talagang may ganong nangyayari on the end of our students. So we are more compassionate, we are more understanding because it's also happening to us. So there are many ways by which we can really check. That is to ask some questions at the end of the session. Parang sa lang PRC. Paano mo nalaman kung talagang nanood siya? Siyempre, may evaluation. May tanong ka relevant to what was just said in the virtual meeting. Okay, so that's how I will answer the question, Sir Mark.
Great. Great job. So our next question is, how can we make sure that the students are in the class independently and not just relying on the class dictated to the virtual? This is one problem.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, may mga in SLU po, may undertakings kami. Tinuro yan ng school law. Okay? Yung unang part ng aming module, nakalagay doon yung undertaking. At inilagay din namin doon sa first pages ng aming module, yung aming nakalagay sa student handbook. Na malalaman talaga din naman namin through the evaluative activities kung sila ba talaga ang gumawa. Meron akong activity with my students Ang tawag ko doon, petsa kotsa. Pinabasa ko yung mga material nila doon sa Explore and Explain. Okay? So, sila ang nagbasa. Tapos, paano ko malalaman kung sila po talaga ang gumawa? In-explain nila yon kung ano yung sinabi nila sa akin virtually. In our university, we do not really require our students to meet us ng 3 hours every week. Diba? Dati 3 hours. Kasi pwedeng yung isang oras na synchronous meeting namin, that's the time for us to check kung talagang sila ang gumawa. Pwedeng ganun po. In the elementary level, ang ginagawa po na napansin ko sa module ng mga anak ko, lagi silang humihingi po ng screenshot as an evidence na sila po talaga ang gumawa. Tapos, pinapa-explain din nila sa mga bata during virtual meeting. Tinanong ko din ang principal, what about those na offline? Okay? Ang tinatawagan nila at kinakausap nila for a performance task, kasi maraming formative assessment, pero ang pinaka ginugugulan nila ng panahon ay yung evaluative. Tatawagan nila yung bata, kakausapin nila, how did you do it, how did you solve it, ganun po talaga. So, ang challenge ngayon talaga ay we release, kaya nga sabi ko kanina, ang challenge ngayon ay we spend money talaga for our loads, di ba? Yung pagtawag tayo, alam na natin gamitin yung mga unequal, unretext, yung mga ganyan, especially if we are so in doubt. Pero mahirap din ngayon yung lagi na lang tayong nagda-doubt for as long as sinabi natin na dapat maging honest sila sa kanilang mga trabaho, etc. etc. So, kung ano man ang isasubmit nila, let's evaluate what they are submitting. But not to capitalize lagi tayong nagdadaw as teacher sa output ng ating mga estudyante. Yun lang, sir, ang pwede kong isagot. Sir Murphy, back to you.
Okay, so I guess somebody wants to ask question in person by a call below. So I will allow Mr. Jerry Castilla unmute your mic so that you can ask your question via call. Mr. Jerry, next.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello po.
Introduce
Yes, ma'am,
yourself
good
and
afternoon.
what's
I'm
the
Jerry
details of-
Castilla from Mindanao, Sayday Gaco, graduating student, taking up Bachelor of Education, Secondary Education, major in Mathematics. Paano po, ma'am, na... hello, ma'am?
Yes, I'm listening.
Based on my experience in OJT teaching, ginawa na po lahat ng teacher as a teacher, but the student is not really responsive during online class.
Okay. Our students, they have different personalities. So, may mga talagang estudyante tayo na nagpapakita, hindi ba? At dahil na rin kung minsan sa mga etiquettes, yung mga online etiquette na lagi natin sinasabi na if you are not speaking, you need to put off your video, yung mga ganyan, di ba? Kailangan naka-mute ang inyong mga mic. So, naging systematic sa mga estudyante na natin yung ganyang etiquette. Kasi kahit tayo, ganun dapat because of nagkakaroon tayo ng problema pag nakabukas lahat ng videos. Okay, nagkakaroon problema sa bandwidth. But of course, it's really very important for us to make sure na talagang ang mga estudyante, hindi yung inopen lang nila ang video, ang audio, hindi yung nakamute ang audio at saka naka-off ang video, akala natin nakikinig, natutulog pala. Okay, so, katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina, importante na may technique tayo. Magparisan tayo, o kaya mag-call tayo ng attention, huwag pareho tayo ang tinatawag natin kasi katulad din siya ng face-to-face. Paano naman po sa offline? Okay? Importante po sa offline, na meron tayong contact ng mga estudyante. Kaya nga pag enrollment, sa amin, sa enrollment namin nakalagay doon na ang ilalagay nila na contact number nila. Very clear po sa instruction na yung contact na madali magamit para kontakin sila ng teacher. Hindi lang iisang contact number, ganun din yung contact number ng kanilang mga magulang. Okay? At hindi pwedeng yung contact number na yon ay hindi malaman ng teacher kung nawala o kaya hindi na ginagamit. So these are some of the ways by which we will monitor. Kasi feedback and monitoring dapat ini-intensify talaga yan ngayon. Okay? Para malaman natin. Sometimes our students are so shy to show also their faces on screen. That's why hindi yan nagre-recite. But let's be very encouraging. And let us not spend our time giving a lot of sermon na nagsisermon. Minsan na nga lang nag-control na sermon pa. Hindi. Kung minsan dahil sa attitude natin, kaya yung mga bata ayaw nilang magbukas. Diba? So, but if our class is very seriously, kinukumusta natin sila, nararamdaman nila na concern tayo sa kanila, I'm sure yung bata magpapakita yan ng kanyang mukha sa screen. Okay? So, yun yung mga pwede natin gawin. The right attitude, and that they will feel they belong, and that they will feel that you are concerned. That's why you are asking them to open their video, yung mga ganyan. Kasi kung minsan, kung nauuna talaga yung sermon at kung ano-anong mga pagsuspensya na hindi siya yung gumawa ng kanyang assignment, yung mga ganyan, nararamdaman niya ng mga bata.
Tama
So,
yan, drink mo.
positive vibes lang talaga ang kailangan natin ngayon, hindi yung puro na lang pagsususpensya. Okay, so dahil yun ang mga dahilan din ng mga bata if we're going to conduct a survey as to why sometimes they are not participating. Because of the way teachers are facilitating nila online. Yun lang, sir. Thank you.
Right, okay, indeed, no, it's true.
Mama?
Really teaching the mind, but as well as touching.
O ayun, napahilabot na. Kaya nagkuhan
Ano
ko.
man ko?
We also have few questions from Facebook Live, and
Ha 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 ha.
captivate the quiz or
Lahi.
we will call in our
O dili.
You find mo na another picture you want to color.
So go ahead.
Tsaka na, paghanap sa upuan. Diba? Bumalik ko sa table ha. Bawal na ito.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes
Alright,
po.
hello Dr. Esmita. Well, right now Dr. Felipe Esmita has shown us examples of IELTS and educational technologies for new normal that our future teacher and educators are inspired from. So thank you so much, Doc, for an amazing and meaningful presentation. Our students are expressing also their commendation in our chat box. It's very insightful and informative. Right now, Doc, we have the following questions from our students via Facebook Live. So this is from Rafi Masi of Kolehiyo ng Pantukan. So he has two questions. First, what are the obstacles that limit the implementation of online learning? And what are the effective methods to reduce them?
Okay.
And Doc, what are the obstacles limit implementation of online learning? And what are the effective methods to reduce them?
We have different circumstances po talaga, but in our case in SLU, and from my observation also with our partners in DepEd and so on, ang obstacle po talaga is of course the IATF protocols, di ba? Yung mga, kung naka-GCQ, biglang nag-lockdown, dapat sana i-deliver ang module, pero na-delay ang module. Yung mga unang experiences natin, yung mga teachers, they are not instructional designers, they are not even authors, they don't know how to write, and so on. So, kaya yung continuity of the faculty development activities talaga, and then ang isa yun nga, maraming assumptions ang mga teachers kung minsan, may mga sarili din silang mental health issues. So, let us not just address yung mental health concerns ng mga students, but even our faculty. So, sometimes, sa akin, kung minsan, from being one of the deans, of course, of our university, aside from yung knowledge of the teachers in developing materials na na-address naman na namin kahit pa paano natutunan na rin nila through trainings. Yun ang isa. Yung the way they respond also to their students. Kaya in-emphasize ko kanina yung right attitude. Minsan ka na nga lang makipag-usap sa kanila, nakaka-high blood ka pa, inuuna mo pa yung inis mo, yung mga ganyan. So sometimes the students will not really participate and cooperate, and sometimes ang ginagawa ng mga estudyante, hindi mo alam na never na palang pumasok, nagugulat ka na lang na bakit itong estudyante na ito nawala na pala, hindi na nagsasubmit ng module. So ito yung mga limitations natin, ito yung mga problema natin. How to solve yung, halimbawa, iniisip natin, sila ba talaga ang gumagawa ng mga tasks, ng mga assignments? Well, these are our limitations and restrictions. So, ipanalangin natin na ang mga estudyante natin maging mabuting Kristiyano at tao at talagang they will really value yung paggawa ng mga activities. Okay? So, we have limitations as human persons also. So, para hindi tayo ma-stress sa kaiisip ng ganun, respetuhin natin kung ano ang isinabit nila and maniwala tayo na yun ay ginawa nila mismo. Dahil mamamatay ka naman sa kaiisip na hindi sila ang gumawa nun. Okay? Partnership, collaboration. Ang mga, katulad nga ng sabi ko, nung una, sabi nila, mga militar, syempre kinukontra ko minsan ang mga estudyante, yung mga ganyan, mga issue ng red tagging, etc. Bakit kaya makikipag-partner sa kanila? Baka makuha nila yung mga data, yung mga ganon. Pero importante, pinapaliwanag natin. Okay? Ang ginawa namin sa Stella, School of Teacher Education and Liberal Arts, na hindi ginagawa ng mga ibang schools kasi kung minsan mas mayayaman yung mga estudyante sa ibang school, School of Medicine, School of Law. Kayang-kaya nila pong bayaran kapag ka na-LBC ang mga module. Sa amin po, talagang pinuntahan ko po ang governor ng iba't ibang probinsya. Okay? At humingi ako ng tulong ng LGU para ma-deliver po ang mga module. So yun po yung mga ilang naging problema sa pag-implement talaga. Kaya kailangan talaga ng committed na leader at saka hyperactive. At saka pag leader ka din ngayon, kailangan educated ka rin pagdating sa paggamit ng technology. So these are the things that we need to look into. Kasi ang isang rason din kung bakit hindi tayo nakakabuko dahil mababa ang technological skills natin. Okay, so that's how I can answer the question. Teamwork is one of the keys.
Thank you so much, Dr. Esquique. Right now, we also have one question from Russell R. Montero from Legacy College of Compostela. So, ma'am, what are we going to do if the parents or guardians don't know how to use these evolving learning materials? Well, since students nowadays are very demand in the case of module Buguro, ma'am.
Okay. Maganda po yan na tanong dahil totoo po yan. Pag teacher education institution ka, may mga extension tayo, may mga outreach, di ba? So, pwede tayo makatulong through that, okay? And we can always tap, as I said, agencies also to be of help para lang sa ganun matulungan natin ang mga magulang.
Kunti lang,
Yung
nakayag
binigay ko na
ito lang.
halimbawa na partnership namin sa DepEd, yung Project Kalayaan, maganda rin gawin yan sa inyong mga probinsya. You can actually mention that as part of the extension.
Rainbow man
Like,
ko.
if we have students
Rainbow man ko.
sa first year, di ba?
Di, I mean,
Kayo
do not
mismo ng mga students
push
kayo
it
mismo
so
nahihirapan
much.
na
Just a slight.
ang mas kailangan talaga ng tulong ngayon ay sa basic ed. Kasi kayo masusundan nyo naman ang mga module ninyo. Yung tanong na yan talagang pang elementary na mga bata, di ba? At saka pang high school. Sila yung mga talagang hindi nila maintindihan yung mga requirements ng module. But in your case, actually, kaya natin.
Rainbow.
Tayo mismo na nasa teacher ed, you are already our students, you can actually be of help to the parents. And you can identify kung sino yung pwede yung mga matulungan. As early as today, you should already model yung ganyang how do you call this one? Ganyang attitude to help parents. That's the only way by which we can reach out to them. Kasi kakaunti lang tayong teachers.
Nakanahinay sa water kaya kung book mako
Pero
ano
mas
basa.
marami tayong mga teachers. Pwedeng yan ang gawin ninyo in your clubs, organizations. Di ba? Pwedeng isa yan na goal, activities to be of help to parents. Especially sa mga math. Yung mga math club dyan, tumulong kayo sa mga magulang. Outreach program ninyo. So yun ang pwede natin gawin. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Esmita, for that insightful answer. So to all those students who are posting their questions here on our Facebook Live, please stay still. We will try to answer it all to the best of our abilities and knowledge. Okay, we will get back to you. All right, Sir Martin.
Okay. Can I say something? Dr. Felina Enrique,
Yes,
Ah.
ma'am.
please, I'm taking this opportunity to really thank you for unselfishly sharing your knowledge and expertise. Our students, our student participants, that is, have high praises and appreciation as written in the comments.
Thank you, ma'am.
Um, Congratulations for a job greatly done, Dr. Felina. As again, in behalf of the MAPSI 11 board, I sincerely thank you from my heart for the time, effort
Mama,
that you share
Mama,
to our special
Mama,
students
Mama.
in Region 11.
Careful sa motor.
Thank you din po, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Thank you, Region 11. Thank you po. Maraming salamat despite the distance.
Marvin, take a prayer, please.
Okay, so if you can read the words to our viewers and teachers on
Yeah, of course, it's the big words that we usually use. We praise God in excellence. Okay? So, dapat lahat ng tinatrabaho natin, we do it with excellence. Missionary din. So, as we all know, teachers, teaching is a vocation. So, missionary tayo dapat. Hindi lahat ng kembot natin ay kailangang mabigyan ng grado. Okay? Kaya nga may mga teachers na maraming kembot, puro little honorarium o kaya walang honorarium, okay pa rin sa kanila. Okay, so excellence, missionary, and of course, with the heart. Importante po talaga na may puso tayo when we do all our activities. Let's do everything not for ourselves, but for the glory of God. Okay, so yun lang at maraming salamat. Okay,
Kanina po, ma.
Thank you very
Please.
much, Region 11, for the invitation. It's my
Mama,
pleasure,
oh.
of course, discussing things with you. Thank you.
Okay, once again, thank you to our resource speaker for sharing her expertise. At this point of time, as a way to express our gratitude to our resource speaker, a certificate of recognition will be awarded. Let me read the citation. A certificate from Philippine Association for Teachers and Educators, Bangka Region 11. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Dr. Felina P. Esmegi for sharing her time and expertise as a resource speaker during the first webinar Regional Teacher Education Students Conference 2021 with a theme Capacitating Future Teachers in the New Normal, held via Zoom and Facebook Live on March 19, 2021.
Nakayog taas di ana kay mabasa ako ang
Via Zoom platform. Signed, Dr. Joseph P. Chua, Executive Chair of Bangka Region. Let's give our resource speaker a virtual applause. Okay, so for now, let us take first our lunch break and we will see each other later this afternoon.
Wait
Don't
lang,
go
Mama.
away. We will eat right.
Ha?
ano nang pud na imong fit. Basa na po kag tubig no.